Hey there, fellow paint nerds. You know how they say that paint transforms a room? Well, what if I told you it actually makes it smaller? Ha, I got you, and now you're going to have to stick with me as we figure this out together. Hold on to your hat. Things are about to get mathy. Let's crunch the numbers and find out how much space you really lose when you paint your room with 2 coats of Sherwin-Williams SuperPaint. Spoiler alert, it might be more or less than you thought. Let's get into it. Here we have a 12 by 14 room with an 8-foot ceiling. We're going to paint all the walls, and for simplicity, we're going to say that there's no windows and no doors. Now hold on, before we go any further, I know what you're thinking. A room with no windows and no doors? That sounds really creepy. And you know what? You're right. But hey, even a creepy room looks better with a fresh coat of paint. Let's keep moving. We're going to do some quick math, and don't worry, we'll keep it painless. So we see that 2 walls are going to be 12 feet wide and 8 feet tall. That gives us 192 square feet. Then the other 2 walls are 14 feet wide by 8 feet tall, which is 224 square feet. So our grand total is 416 square feet. Now that's the easy part. Let's talk about the paint itself. So how thick is paint really? Here we have the tech data sheet for this particular paint. On these sheets, they have all kinds of very useful information. But what we're concerned with, we can find right here. We want to know coverage. You notice that we have wet mill thickness, and that is how thick the paint should be when you apply it. And over here we have dry mill thickness. So once it dries, what's left? So we see, according to Sherwin-Williams, their super paint, when wet, should be 4 mils thick, and when dried, it should be 1.6 mils thick per coat. So we see that we lose approximately 60% of the material through things like evaporation. So this product is considered to have 40% solids. Now just a quick time out here because I want to put things in perspective, because we keep saying mil thickness. So what is that? A mil is 0.001 inches. So it's roughly the same thickness as a human hair. Hopefully that helps. Now, getting back to the math, since we're doing 2 coats, that means we need to do a little more adding. If we remember, our dry mill thickness for this product was 1.6 mils. We're doing 2 coats, that brings us to 3.2 mils of dry paint. Or we can say 0.0032 inches. That's not a lot, but our original question was, how much does our room actually shrink when we paint it? So we're going to take those 416 square feet and we're going to cover them with 0.0032 inches of paint. We do all the math and come up with about 192 cubic inches, or 0.111 cubic feet of dried paint. Now you think about that, you might be like, well, 192 cubic inches, that actually sounds like a lot. But in reality, it's just slightly smaller than your average volleyball. Yep, you're losing 1 volleyball's worth of space every time you give your walls 2 coats of fresh paint. So does that mean you're not going to have space for your furniture? Well, unless your couch bumps, sets, and spikes itself out of there, you should be just fine. Your room is not shrinking in any way that you'll notice. So friends, there you have it. 2 coats of paint takes up a teeny tiny amount of space. But hey, now you have a fun fact to drop at parties. That is assuming that you get invited to the kinds of parties where people actually care about paint thickness. And if you do, call me. So my name is Brandon, and please don't forget to like, listen, and continue to share your time with your friends at Pros Pondering Paint.